Hello everybody and welcome back to another groom tack up and ride with me video. Today we are taking my horse Casper to the forest, which is one of his favourite places. So first off, obviously had to give him some cuddles. Then it was time to pick our outfit of the day and I went for the lovely spruce green. Then I got my saddle out and I realised, oh my gosh, I did not clean it last time I rode. So did I absolutely spritz it and quickly wipe all the dirt off so you guys don't know? Yes, I did. Also, I told myself that it was good for me to clean my tack before I rode today because I knew that it is going to be muddy and hopefully this will give it a little bit of a protection from the mud. It's a bit more that I'm just lazy. I am just lazy and I did not clean it last time I rode. But you know what? I was in a rush and in the winter it's difficult. It gets dark. So once all of my tack was ready to go, well, I say ready to go, it was on the fence because obviously I had to take some nice aesthetic photos for my socials. So if you're not following me on that, go and check them out for some behind the scenes content. I then popped it in the horse box and grabbed some treats for Casper. Had to give some to Joey as well because I didn't want him to be left out. I'm also going to be riding Joey later on. Also, I was pointing at Joey's food all on the floor because he is the messiest eater. Of course, had to give some to Casper too. And then it was time to unravel my lead rope because I do like to roll them up. I just find they look really kind of smart and presentable and just easy to tidy away in your tack room like that. But unraveling it is pretty satisfying, but it does take a little while to ravel them all up. Also, I felt like such a mother because Casper had like a bit of dirt on his head collar, so had to wipe that off because I want my baby to look cute. I want him to be looking clean. Talking about clean, these travel boots, oh my goodness, do not look at them. They are an absolute state. They are disgusting, and yes, my camera roll is completely full of pictures of Casper because he is adorable. But yes, you might be thinking, Esme, you really need to put these travel boots in the washing machine, and yes, I know. I might have done that after this ride because, oh my goodness, Casper's legs got so dirty. So keep on watching if you want to see how absolutely filthy this boy got. Normally I give him a groom before we set off, but I thought, you know what, today I'm feeling a little bit tired. Casper definitely isn't a morning person either. Like here in all of these clips, he is literally half asleep. One thing about Casper is he is such a good boy to load up into the horse box, and when I popped him in I realised, oh no, I had completely forgotten to put his hay net in there. So I rushed around to our little hay store, grabbed his haylage net, went for the one with the big holes so he could get a lot to snack on our little journey up the road. So then it was time to quickly zoom back to Casper and then scooch on through and tie it up for him. So he had a little bit of breakfast. I mean, he did already have his proper hard feed breakfast, but you know what? We were going for a big ride today and I wanted to make sure that he was fueled and ready to go. Also, look at my nails. I know, bright red nails with horses. You might be thinking, Esme, how on earth do you do that? So recently I have been filming some Valentine's Day content, so look out for that coming soon. So that's why my nails are completely done up. I also have a really good top coat that I use on them. I find my nails normally last about a week, and if I wear gloves while I do the horses, then they do last not too badly. Anyway, then we arrived at the forest, Casper's favourite place, and of course had to undo everything to get him out. He also is really strange. If you've seen any of my groom tack up and ride with me videos before, you will know that he just likes to kind of chill in the horse box for a little bit before he walks down. So here he is. He just likes to have a little look, see where he is, even though we've been here like hundreds of times before. He's like, okay, I'm just checking out my surroundings, and then he does this little catwalk down, and then again he always just likes to stare in this corner. He's like, I'm just checking just to make sure there's nothing scary. I'd say Casper's probably my most nervous horse out of all of my horses, and I'm not gonna lie, we had a little bit of a scary ride today. There were some scary things that I will show you in a sec, but I did put the ramp back up just so we had a little bit more room. Then it was time to take off his travel boots. I always think of travel boots like a horse's seatbelt. Oh, dropped that one, oopsie. Because it kind of, you know, it's what you put on them when they travel, when they go along, and also it protects their legs. And Casper, he is the best at traveling. I would always say that I always think Casper, if he was a human, he would be a surfer, because when he's traveling along, when we go around the corners, he properly like leans. Sometimes he knows we're going around like a roundabout, so he knows to then lean in the opposite direction. Like, he is the best horse for just popping in the horse box, traveling away. I mean, he is 19 now, which absolutely blows my mind that I was gonna say he's old. He's not old. He's just a more experienced gentleman. There we go. That's what we'll say, Casper. Anyway, then I decided, you know what, we'll switch up and I'll give him a groom actually at the forest because it was a lovely sunny day. You can see him half asleep. Also, he had a little bit of an eye bogey, so cleaned that out because we do not want eye bogeys. That isn't very comfortable. Also, his tail is absolutely covered in shavings, as always. I always think it's like a little Casper snowstorm, all of the shavings coming out. Casper also has the thickest mane and tail. I think it's like a Connemara thing. It just, honestly, I have to put so much mane and tail detangler just to get all the knots out because it is so long. I know most people don't normally brush their horse's tail or their mane every time that they ride, just because I know most horses have thinner manes and tails, and see when you brush it through, a few hairs do come loose, but I need to, just to kind of thin it out a little bit. I also gave him a good brush. Casper also probably needs to be clipped again sometime soon. I tend to clip Casper all year round actually, just because I find he's a lot easier to manage when he has a shorter coat. I don't know if anybody else finds this. Maybe it's because he's a grey and I do have to wash him quite a lot, and then he just dries quicker if his coat's shorter, and also there's less mud to stick to. But anyway, then it was time to pop on his saddle. Casper loves to puff his tummy out, so this sometimes can be a little bit of a struggle. I'm like, Casper, please hold your breath, breathe in. Anyway, I managed to get that on. And then it was time to put on his, I was going to say his go-go boots. These boots are brushing boots, so just protect his legs because we were going to be going quite speedy across the forest. So I thought, you know what? Now he's a slightly older gentleman. I mean, just in general anyway, all of my horses seem to be very accident prone, so I do like to try and wrap them in bubble wrap. So, but these boots, I have had also, what is Casper doing with his nose? He must have had an itchy nose because he was kind of like scratching it on the horse books. I've never seen him do that before. It just really made me chuckle. Anyway, yes, those boots that Casper is wearing, I have had for longer than I've had Joey. I want to say they are my, I'm going to the forest, they're going to get absolutely covered in mud, I need to chuck them in the washing machine afterwards. And you know what? They've lived a life. They've had lots of memories. Also, these boots that I'm wearing, I've had for a long time as well, because when I go to the forest, I am not wearing my nicest attire because I just know that everything, as I said before, is going to get filthy. And then the last thing to pop on is Casper's bridle. Also, we are going to ignore the mini poo stain on Casper's face because I thought, you know what? It's winter. I don't want to be getting all my hose pipe out and giving him a full-on bath. We're just going to the forest where he's going to get dirty. And also, a lot of the time, you guys aren't even going to see that little poo stain because it's on his head and at the angle where my helmet cam goes. You can't see it when we're riding along. Actually, when we're riding along, he looks very clean because all I can see is the top of his head, which for some reason is not where any of the mud goes, probably because it's furthest away from the ground. But for most horses, you would think that doesn't really count because when they roll, they get dirty everywhere. But Casper, in the winter, he goes through like a little rolling hiatus where he just doesn't really roll. Like here, he looks so clean. Maybe it's because there's so much mud everywhere and he has no mud on his head. But anyway, I think he doesn't like to roll in the winter just because the mud is too wet. He's like, no thank you. And you will see that is a common theme on this ride because Casper absolutely hates puddles and mud. So we do some very odd little shimmies around some puddles that you'll see in a second. But on this ride, I thought, you know what, Casper, I'm going to let you choose wherever you want to go on this hack. And I thought, oh, okay, we're going up here. That's a little bit different. We normally go straight ahead. And then I thought, oh, he's going round to the left again. And then I thought, oh, maybe he wants to go through this forest area. We don't really go through here very often. I mean, it is very scenic, very pretty. You do have to be careful though, because at this point I thought, I'm going to gather my reins up again and I'm going to choose the path because he decided to go off track. And I had to duck under quite a few different branches. I was like, Casper, while I'm on top of you, you are a little bit taller, or technically he's not taller, I'm just higher up. And I don't think he really thinks, oh, I'm gonna not go under this branch because my owner is gonna get her head chopped off. No, anyway, there was also this holly bush where Casper was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go under it, and Esme, she's gonna go through the holly. So yeah, at this point I gathered my reins up because Casper was doing a proper slalom in between all the different kind of trees, and I was like, you know what, this is not gonna end well, I'm gonna land into a tree. So And also at this point I thought, oh, I know why Casper's decided to go left here, is because he is literally going straight back to where the horse box is. He's like, okay, time to go home now. Sorry to break it to you, mate, we're not going home yet. We've literally only been on a ride for 5 minutes. And I promise, Casper loves going to the forest, but for some reason when he's walking away from the horse box, he walks at an absolute snail's pace. He goes so slowly, and then here he was trying to go around, bless him, he was trying to go around the puddle because he didn't want to get his toes wet. He's a little diva, which meant that I went a little bit through the gorse. And then Casper here, I think he was a little bit annoyed with me because he was like, Esme, why have you decided to go to the muddiest area? I thought I was deciding where we were going. And then he thought, oh, we'll go up a hill, that must be drier. No, there was a huge puddle at the top of the hill, so we kind of scooched round there, and then he was like, oh no. This is when Casper thought, oh, I'm just gonna check the puddle just to make sure there's no crocodiles, have a little sniff, and then gently walks over. Very anticlimactic. I honestly thought he was going to do a huge leap over it, but obviously not. Finally, we managed to get to an area where it was a little bit dry. I was going to say nice and dry, not quite nice and dry. Here he also wanted to go left because that was his way home. Normally, when we go for a hack around here, we do like a big loop. So the first half of the hack, Casper's super chilled because he's going away from the horse box, and then on the way home, he is like a little firecracker and just wants to zoom. He loves a good blast, a zoomies, a gallop. And then here we had another muddy bit, so he also kept looking to the right. I don't know if there was like something in the hedge or something. He was just a little bit more on edge around here. I don't know if he spotted something in the corner of his eye. Anyway, he soon settled down because after these few puddles we got to a dry bit, and this is a bit that he knows he loves. This is one of our canter spots that he gets his confidence up. Also, it's a little bit uphill as well, which is nice, especially when the ground is a bit muddy. And also, if you have a horse that likes to zoom super fast, going uphill is always a good plan because it just slows them down a little bit. You can also tell that his confidence was up because he was going over the puddles rather than around them. Then here I thought, you know what, we'll go up this hill, we'll go right, we'll have another little canter, and then here we go. Casper was like, okay, this is the direction towards the horse box, so do you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go really fast. This might not look very fast, but when you're on a, what, how tall is Casper? He's 14'3/15 hands, give or take, depending on the day, depending on how he's standing. And then here, he was like, oh my goodness, what is that? What is in that corner? And he really got funny. I don't know what he had spotted. Maybe it was some deer, maybe it was a dog or a dog walker, some little subtle foreshadowing. We might have got chased by a dog a little bit later on, spoiler alert. Also, I could tell he was a bit nervous because he went to the toilet, and he is the sort of horse where he doesn't normally like going to the toilet while I'm on top of him. Like, he's more of a hold in kind of guy. So here he was doing a little bit of a jig jog, a little trot, a little nervous. Oh, I have a lot of adrenaline right now and I need to release that adrenaline, so what am I going to do? I'm going to do some dressage moves, even though I am a 19-year-old pony that never liked dressage. Anyway, then I got to this hill and I thought, he's on edge. Do you know what we're going to do? We're going to release that adrenaline by going fast. Now, this was the most erratic canter I've ever been on. He did like a little fast trot and I was like, no mate, you can canter, you just got to be calm. And then, oh my goodness, what was on the ground? Everything was very spooky, very scary. Oh my gosh, another puddle. Oh my gosh, what is happening? Is something chasing me? So yeah, that was a little bit of a wild canter, but you know what? All was well. It was up a nice hill, had a nice little calm walk, and then this is a proper canter. We might have had a few steps of gallop, I'm not sure. I mean, Casper's legs do go so fast because he only does have little legs, but we had an absolute blast up this hill, which you can see he's a lot more confident. He obviously was like, okay, whatever is around me that I'm scared of, we're far enough away from it now to stop being scared of it. And also he had a big canter, so a lot of that kind of pent up energy, that it was kind of nervous energy, he'd burnt off, he was ready to go. And then when we got to the top of the hill, bless him, oh my gosh, I think that's the most exercise he's had in a little while, because I have been away recently. If you haven't seen my vlog where I went to the Seychelles, go and check it out after this one, because I had so much fun filming that. It's a little bit different to my normal content because I was filming baby turtles rather than horses, but if you want to see some cute baby turtle content, go and check that out after this. So Casper and my other horse Joey he did have a little bit of a holiday while I was away as well, so he hadn't been out for a proper blast, a proper gallop, a proper ride in a little while, and he honestly had so much fun. This bit here, we were walking along, and there's like kind of like an electric fence, so I was like, okay, Casper, we need to walk further away from that, because I didn't want him to accidentally touch it and then have the absolute shock of his life, literally. Although he kept looking over to the left, because in this kind of like fenced off area there have been, I'm gonna say, wild horses in quotation marks, because some people will be like they're not proper wild horses because they're technically penned in, but I'm pretty sure that they just kind of like leave them on the forest to do what they do. And here Casper spotted a man. He obviously was very dodgy, very scary, because every now and again Casper will like, no, Esme, it's not safe, we must stop, we must stare at this man. And normally on our ride we go right here, and that's where the man was. And I thought, you know what, Casper is going to be funny with him. Today is not the day, we will go left instead. And here Casper got very excited. He was like, oh my gosh, I want to run, I want to run, I want to run. And then I let him run, and oh my goodness, it was like being on a rocket launcher.
Whoa.
Because he just suddenly went. Don't worry, it was a controlled canter, but it was very fast. Casper's legs were like a blur. He was like a rocket. Now, normally this hill we walk down. I don't think I've ever cantered up this hill before, but obviously this route where we go, I know the ground very well, so that is one thing that kind of scares me a little bit when you're hacking somewhere new and you decide to have a canter or a gallop or go a little bit faster, because you never know if there's going to be a dip, a hole, something scary around the corner. One thing that also does terrify me a little bit is rabbit holes. Luckily around here there aren't really many rabbit holes or burrows that you have to worry about kind of falling down, especially as a lot of the ground here is sandstone. So although there are some bits that are a little bit muddy, the ground is actually really good. It's literally just the top where some of the water kind of settles in puddles, like on top of the stone. And then here I was like, okay, Casper, we've got to a junction, we need to slow down a little bit, we don't want to mow anyone over. So I had a little trot down this hill. He was still very excited. At this point of the ride, we were literally we weren't walking, we were going faster than walk. We were going further away from the horse box, but he was on it. I thought, okay, we've got another hill.
Oh my
he can go fast.
goodness,
Let off some more steam.
Whoa.
Casper, you know what? He got more and more excited as the ride went on, which is normally the other way around. Normally, to start with, it's very exciting, and then the kind of novelty wears off. So we were properly pegging it, zooming it up this hill, and then before I even realised what was happening, I thought, oh, he's looking in that corner funny. There was this dog that jumped out and ran in front of us. Luckily, I managed to slow him down because I did not want to run the dog over.
Whoa, oh my gosh, that scared the living daylights out of me, that dog. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness.
After that, we're back at this hill again. I told you, we did a real loop-de-loop here, there, back, forward, away from the horse box, towards the horse box, and this big hill luckily was on our way home. This is one of Casper's favourite canter hills, especially as a lot of the footage where you might have seen me riding on the forest where we've had a drone up, that is probably the canter route that you would have seen. It's one of his favourites. And then he again had another burst of energy on the way home and was like, let's go, I'm having an absolute blast. So compared to the Casper that I was tacking up at the car park with the horse box, who was absolutely falling asleep, he's had a real like personality change, because here he was absolutely zooming along, having so much fun. And then we came to the slightly muddier bit, so I was like, okay, Casper, we do need to slow down here, and he was not happy. Look at him, he does not look happy in that mud. Bless him, he really does not like the mud. And then we are almost back at the horse box, so I thought, you know what, we'll go loose rein, give him a stretch off. He loves a little head stretch. And then we were back. Also, one thing that's quite funny is when we got back to the car park, my dad, there we go, he was like, quick, I need to hide behind the corner. He doesn't like being on camera. So also another funny thing, I don't know if I should say this or not, but when we arrived back, my dad only told me, you see this guy in this car, he was literally waiting for us to leave, because this is one of those car parks where you have to pay to be there. Also, look how cute Casper is sleeping. You have to pay to be there, and we had, I think when I arrived we had like 10 minutes maybe left on our parking, and I think he was waiting for us to be late so he could charge us for our car parking thing, which, you know, that's his job. You got to do what you got to do. But still, I found it quite funny that he was just sitting there watching, waiting for us to be late. But you know what? I didn't even know this, but I was, you know, taking my sweet time. I was cleaning off my girth, getting all the mud off it. Casper was snoozing. I was having a good time. My dad didn't even tell me, oh yeah, we've got like 7 minutes left in the parking now. You might need to, you know, get a little bit of a wiggle on. I'm just, you know, I'm just used to moving at speed. Maybe it's all of the pony club camps I've done where you have to get your horse groomed, tacked up and ready in what feels like 5 minutes, especially as I was one of the few people that had a grey horse that would be covered in stable stains every morning that needed a full-on bath. I don't know, or I'm just a speedy gal and I do everything at speed. Also, how disgusting are Casper's legs? Oh my goodness. So yeah, those boots were straight off into, they didn't even go in the kind of like horse tack area. I thought they can just go in the back of the horse box. I don't want that touching my saddle. I don't want that touching anything else. Like, they were nasty. Now it was time to lower down the ramp, and I think at that point the guy left that was watching us because he was like, oh, they're gonna leave soon, I'm not gonna be able to get them for being late for their parking. So oh my gosh, honestly, when I was putting these travel boots on Casper, I think it hurt my soul slightly putting boots on how muddy his legs were, but it's fine. Everything was going to get washed later. I mean, unfortunately, you cannot put your horse in the washing machine because number one, I don't think Casper would like that very much, and number two, I hate to break it to him, but I don't think he would fit. But sometimes I do wish I could do that because it would just make things easier because, goodness me, grey horses in the winter in England, it is a task. So once everything was back on him, his travel boots, his rug, it was time to lead him back into the horse box where he very happily just popped on in, made sure that everything was nice and secure and safe, ready for our journey home. These clips have also made me realise how absolutely filthy our Equito horse box is, so let me know if you would like to see another spring cleaning series. I normally, like every spring, do like a little bit of a spring cleaning series where I give everything a clean, give everything a tidy up. I know it's only February, but I feel like I'm itching to do it because I just want everything to be sparkling and clean, and I know we're still in the mud season at the moment where everything is just so muddy, but hear me out. I think the horse box, it's ready for a clean. It's done a lot of journeys this winter. Also, Joey and Casper, for some reason in this clip, Casper looks bigger than Joey. I think it's just the wide angle on my helmet cam. But they like to be reunited. They like to say hello. They have a little kiss. I feel like Joey likes the kiss more than Casper. Casper's there like, okay, I get it. When Casper, I would say he's more of an introvert kind of horse, when Joey is definitely an extrovert. Joey likes to be with everyone at all times. Joey also gets a little bit of FOMO, so don't worry. The video is not finished yet because it's time to ride Joey. So I did put Casper back in a stable for a little bit while I just put all of his tack away because I knew that if I didn't do it as soon as I get back, then it won't get done at all. Also, if you might have spotted a few seconds ago, Joey was licking his stable door. He also likes to do this weird thing where he just licks the stable door. I don't know why, he's just always done it. He even has like a little lick mark where he's just been, licking it the whole time we've had him, which is funny. So I got a haylage net out. I also got Joey's lunging stuff out because it was then time to exercise him. So recently, as I said before, I've been bringing the horses back into work after their little holiday. Now, the day before this, I lunged Joey, and he had some moves. He was very excited. He actually, to be fair, his moves were more just him going round and round in circles at great speed. So I thought, you know what, especially as, for some reason, as soon as I got home from my trip, I have basically been ill for the whole week that I have been back. So that's why it's taking me a little bit longer to bring the horses back into work, because I have just lost all of my strength and everything while I've been ill. So I thought, you know what, if Joey is going to have a little bit more energy than I do on this particular day, I'm going to lunge him as his warm-up before I ride, just to see if there's any kind of explosions that I'm gonna, let him do first, because I feel like a quote I say all the time is, if in doubt, lunge your horse first. But he is actually looking pretty good. This is one of the first winters I've realised where he hasn't been on box rest because of an injury, touch wood. So it's nice to see what he actually looks like in normal winter condition where he has been ridden, and also he has had 2 weeks off, so bear that in mind for how he is looking. at the moment. But anyway, then it was time to pop on his circingle and all of his lunging stuff. I also put on some boots because you guys know Joey is Mr. Accident Prone. So these are some extra fluffy ones as well, which is great for horses with sensitive skin, but they also have lots of ventilation as well because you do not want your horse's legs to overheat. Then it was time to put his bridle on over the top of his cavesson, or his kind of like lunging head collar. And Joey is always a little bit stiff to start with, but then once he gets moving, he can actually move really, really nicely. So I just gave him a little walk, trot and canter on both reins, really chilled. He was actually, like, I was going to say that, don't sound surprised with me, he was a very good boy. I was going to be like, he was actually a very good boy. No, he was a very good boy. He was super chilled. Maybe it's because today was a lovely sunny day and yesterday he had some time off and it was also raining and really, really windy. So I think he got all of his zoomies out yesterday, and then today he was just a little bit more chilled. So once he was all warmed up, I put on his dressage saddle, of course. Had to take some photos because my children, my fluffy four-legged children, they are just too cute. Joey also does this thing where he pretends to fall asleep as soon as I put his bridle on. I think well, maybe it's because it was sunny and he was like, you know what, I'm just going to close my eyes. I feel nice and tired after I've done some lunging. Or he does do it most days, so I think it's more of a, oh, I'm really sleepy today. You know what, let's just have a chilled one. So here I'm actually doing something that I've been doing recently that I call the sugar tacks. And that is giving Joey a little sugar cube. Also here I was really trying to get him to stretch because he was like, no, I'm going to be lazy and just stretch a little bit. So what you do is you stretch them both sides using a sugar cube, because when they've got their bit in their mouth, obviously the sugar cube, it can dissolve, so they don't have to kind of worry about eating a treat while they have a bit in their mouth. And Joey on this day, oh my gosh, he felt so good. One thing that I've been working on recently is trying to get our canter more powerful and more forward, so when I do jump him, that his canter is just a little bit more consistent. Also trying to stop him leaning on me, so I feel like we did a pretty good job. I also really worked on our canter transitions, because normally with my canter transitions I do them in a corner, when today I thought, you know what, I'm going to do all of my transitions kind of on a half circle. And he was such a good boy. He also did a lovely big fancy trot down the diagonal there. I also did like a little canter at X on this circle here, and I was just so proud of him. He's feeling so good. Maybe having a 2-week holiday has actually been really good for him. So then it was time to cool him down, stretch him off, have a nice little walk on a long rein here. He was saying hi to Toby, the donkey that you might have spotted in the corner. Of course, had to give the boy lots of pats because he was so good. He honestly is just, yeah, he's feeling so good. So I'm very excited for how he's gonna look in the spring. Maybe we can do some fun things together. Also his dapples. I know in every video that I basically post of Joey, somebody comments, oh my gosh, he's so white now, or like he's gone so much lighter, but I think he has. I mean, he does normally go a little bit darker in the summer, especially around his eyes, just because I think his face is the thing that's gone the lightest recently. So then it was time to lead him back to the yard. Also in the few clips before that you would have seen that Joey likes to use me as a scratching post. He absolutely loves, after I take his bridle off, a big old scratch, a big old cuddle. He's probably my most cuddly horse that I own. Actually, to be fair, Duke does love a scratch right in between like his chest, like that's his favourite scratchy spot. It's funny how like horses do have like different types of like affection that they like to show, or different types of scratchy spots. Then it was time to put on Joey's turnout boots, because yes, as I said before, this boy is very accident prone. So once they were on, which, oh my gosh, they have so many different straps, but it's because they are quite long, because they cover basically almost all of his legs, which is good. That was a very good job. I put his rug back on, which it's got to the stage where it's like, okay, I probably should give all of the horses, it's that part of the winter where it's time to probably give all the horses their rugs a little bit of a wash, because they're looking a little bit disgusting at the moment, because they do like to roll in the mud. Well, Joey does. Joey still rolls in the mud even when it's wet. Casper, not so much. Then it was time to turn the horses out into their paddocks. So after that, it was then time to go and grab Casper and Duke, and that is the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!